Hey everyone, welcome and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who do not know, my name is Thlologelo Promise Rampa, but I go by Promise because it's easier, obvious. And welcome to Relocate to Australia with Promise. This is a DIY relocation platform. So what I basically mean is that I'm not a relocation agent. I've not used an agent. I couldn't afford one. So I did the whole relocation process from South Africa to Australia myself. So I'm just trying to shed light to people who want to do the same thing, and cannot afford or want to save some money, because you are going to need it when you come here. So this is Relocate to Australia with Promise. So yes, welcome guys. It's so lovely having you guys here. For everyone that has subscribed, thank you so much. I legit moved from 2 subscribers a month ago. Now I'm on 310. I'm like, but anyway, it feels so good to kind of see that you are helping people. And I get messages from people. Sometimes I'd be so tired where I'm like, oh, I'm so tired because oh guys, it is rough. So anyway, let's get on to it, guys. You know me, I yip too much. So anyway, just a bit of an update. I got a new phone. It's like one of these cheap phones. This phone is in order for me to kind of separate my personal use of my personal phone and this whole Relocate to Australia with Promise Shandis, where everything is just gonna be on there, where I'm gonna be downloading the WhatsApp group that I was telling you about, and I'm gonna have then my new number on it so that I'll be able to call people. And it's kind of because I told myself that the only way in which I can manage this is if I have discipline and tell myself this is now when you're on work mode and this is when you're family mode, because I don't want to mix all these things. It's not healthy. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be setting some time where I'm going to be just looking at comments and trying to engage with people. So if I don't respond, just know that I have allocated time where it's going to be then Relocate to Australia with Promise time. So today is basically part 2 of last week, right? I should have titled that one part 1. But I probably, because I felt like with a skills assessment, there's so much information that is in there where you just have to section. So what we are going to be talking about this week is what are the requirements of a skills assessment. So I'm going to just try and simplify it as much as I can. I asked people to comment with some of the jobs or occupations that they would like for me to look at. So when we go into it, I'm not going to go into everything. The basic ones, the ones that I'm very comfortable with and very confident with are for social workers and for veterinarians. Vets. My husband's job. That, okay? I think what I realized as well is that the way in which vets do their assessments and the whole process is very similar to your doctors and your nurses. When I went into the information, I was like, yeah, it kind of looks the same. But we'll go into it and see. And as I have been telling you guys, and I will repeat this, do not wait for me to upload things before you get into it. Spend time. And I repeat this, spend time in the Australian Home Affairs website page, because that's where literally everything begins. All the information is there. The guide, literally everything that an agent will try to sell to you is there. Everything. And the nice thing about Australia, this is what I love about Australia. Literally everything is online. Everything is online. They don't do papers anymore. It is so good. Everything, all the information, everything that you need is online. So that's why you should just spend so much time with your phone doing things that are going to advance you. All the information, everything that I'll be yapping your hair on this channel, everything that we're going to be discussing in the WhatsApp group, everything that's going to be everywhere is literally online. Everything that an agent is going to sell you about relocating to Australia is online. So you just need to prioritize and make time. I'm just going to guide you. You go in there. And when I tell you read, ask questions. Read, have questions. Read, have questions. It's just like if you went to university, you can do this, okay? If you did not go to university and you've got a skill, you can do this. If you don't understand English, have someone translate for you, okay? Don't allow to just sit there with problems. Do not sit with problems, okay? So this is what we're going to be doing. I'm going to be switching screens like I did last week. So this is where we start. So usually I just go to my Safari, and then you need to type in Australian Home Affairs website. This is the one that I've always been telling you about, so Australian Home Affairs. But there are many ways in which you can get it, but this is how I usually do it. So just write Australian Home Affairs. So it takes you to their homepage. So it's usually the first one. But sometimes, because these immigration agents and consultants, what they do, they pay so much money where their companies kind of pop up first when you maybe type in Australian relocation. So be very mindful that you don't go to other websites that will kind of be misleading. So you're going to need this one, as I've explained to you also previously. So on my phone, it was a very different view to the one that I'm having right now. So this is why I had to learn how to use my computer in order to record, so that you guys can see what you should expect. I really relocated on my phone and my laptop, which was a very old laptop that I got when I was still in varsity. I got it from my bursary. So as I explained to you, these are the many various options. Criminal justice, please don't be part of here. I'm joking. There's a lot of things on this website. Like, there's just so many things. So I think these are all the agencies that the department is working with, and these are some of the resources that you might need. So as I explained to you guys, spend a lot of time on this website, because this is basically where everything begins and everything ends here. Okay, so this is what you're going to be needing all the time: the Home Affairs government website page. So it always has to be this one. So be very mindful. I always remember, because it's blue. It has never, I don't think it has changed. Even when I was using it couple of years ago, it was still blue. But there's so many things that have been changed and updated. Obviously, as I told you, it updates all the time. They try to make it user friendly for people coming in. It was way more difficult during my time. So now I find these little cookies. I'm like, this is nice. So anyway, this is what we're going to be focusing on: immigration and citizenship. But right now, obviously, it's for immigration. Citizenship is something later, way later, that you can explore later. But there's no harm in reading it, just for you to kind of be prepared if this is where you would like to be a citizen one day. So this is the one that we're going to be focusing on. Don't look at these. You can look at all these other ones just for information, just playing around one day. This, I think, is for when you're just traveling to come and visit someone or something like that. So this is where you would be looking at all the visas. So for your traveling on a holiday, visiting family or something like that. But this one is if you want to immigrate here, you want to work here, and you want to live here in whatever way. So this is the one that you should be focusing on. Okay, so let's click on that. So it's going to be sending us to this page. So as I explained to you guys, you need to learn how to navigate, right? So there's so many things here. They tell you that you can explore visa options. There are online services. You have to be very mindful of this Vivo and IMI account. We will talk about them later. And then this one kind of explains to you how you can become an Australian citizen. So all these things are linked. They kind of they work together. So all these here are linked to each other. So this one feeds into this one feeds into this one. And also it's very great for you to kind of explore everything, just to see how you can fit into a certain situation, but also being very mindful of things that sometimes you might not even think of. Like, for example, you see these visa conditions. This is very important for you to look at, because obviously it's going to be explaining to you what do you need to abide by and all those things when you come to Australia, or way before you even come here. So this is for if you want to, this I think is for more businesses or something like that, if you want to employ people overseas. So it will also be great for you to have a look at this, just because in a way, when you then approach companies and you're applying for jobs, you can say to them, look, I know that this is what the government wants you to understand about relocation. This is what I know, and this is what I can do. So this helps you to become very clued up about what employers would want in order for you to be sponsored to come and work here. So here it's as I told you, Australia likes using a lot of things online, so they've got like a lot of forms here. So just navigate all these things and see how far you can go with them. So obviously we want to be looking at our occupation skills list. So we're going to just go straight into it. So you've got various options here: entering and leaving Australia, visas, Australian citizenship, what we can do, settling in Australia. Look, read everything, okay? Even if it's just 10 minutes of the day, just read literally everything that you will need to read. You're going to need to spend a lot of time here. And for people that are not going to be immigrating to Australia and they're looking at other countries, they've got similar systems. Relocation worldwide is the same. They usually want the same things all the time. That's why it's very easy for agents to become agents worldwide, because you don't need to learn new things. If you go into the Canadian Home Affairs website, they've got a similar kind of structure. They might have different requirements and all of that, but essentially the core, everything is the same. So we're going to be looking at, let's see, visas. Okay, so if you look at the visas, it's like working in Australia, employing or sponsoring workers. So as I explained to you, this is for businesses. Even if it does not apply to you right now, because you're going to be looking, maybe let's say, for example, because I encourage people to look for sponsorship because it helps you in the long run. So if you're going to be looking for a sponsorship, I think you need to spend time reading this. You need to read this in order for you to understand what an employer might want. So when you clued up and you've got this information, it helps you, because then you can have those conversations. In a way, it kind of like prepares you to have those learned conversations with them about who you are and what you're going to be bringing into their company, because you know that it will be abiding by all the legislation and regulations put forth by the Australian government. So even if you're not going to be an employer or someone that's going to be sponsoring people, because now you have not yet relocated, it's just important for you to be clued up, okay? This is like when you're bringing someone, for example, your family or your partner. So if your situation allows for you to bring like other people, spend time also here. When you have a visa already, like let's say, for example, you were a student here, or maybe you came with a partner visa and you want to kind of like upgrade your visa, or you want to stay longer. Let's say, for example, the visa that you've got is maybe a visiting visa for just a year and you don't want to leave and you want to do something else, then this is when you already have a visa. So if your situation kind of allows, and this would be a very great thing to also look at, just for this is a very great thing for you to look at. The reason why I'm saying that is because sometimes you might discover some visas that you can use to enter into Australia and upskill yourself so that you can then get to a position where you'd be allowed to upgrade your visa to then work permanently and all of that. So cancelling visa, permanent residence. So we are permanent residents, and I'll show you how we did it. We were very smart with our processes when we did this relocation journey. We did 2 visas simultaneously, so which kind of like maximized our options of relocating here to Australia. I will share with you guys how we did it later on, but just keep mindful of this, because anyway, we're going to be talking about a lot of things that feed into a lot of things. So just be very mindful of this one. At this point in time, we're going to be focusing just only on the skills assessment, and then we're going to go into all these other things later on, okay? As I explained to you, there's just so many things here. That's why it is very important for you to spend time going into literally everything, but be very focused. That's why I'm saying pray. Talk to your ancestors, talk to your people so that they guide you, because you can get lost. You can get lost in here, and it can be very frustrating because it's a lot of information. You're in a panic. You're in a panic mode. You just want to relocate, and you just don't know what to do and how to go about it. And agents are waiting there for you to get money from you. Don't do that, okay? So we're going to be focusing now on working in Australia. You go into that tab. So the nice thing about how they have structured this website, which is very different to how I did it, all these things for me in 2017, 2018 were like in a list. So now they have it here, of which is very easy for me to kind of see what I want to see. And I love how they did it here, because it's so much easier for you to navigate and to see. It's so much quicker for you to see, okay, I do qualify for this visa, I don't. I do, like, it's just, oh my God. The way in which they've done this, I love it. So now they've got this new thing. We didn't have it when I was doing my process. I'm going to spend a lot of time on this regional migration. I'm going to be talking to you guys about it because it is a great scheme that the Australian government has introduced. I think it was last year. And I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. So we'll look into it one day just so you guys can be clued up about it. And I'll tell you also about regional living and what that means and how that can then help you to kind of like settle in this country. So they all these things here show short stay work visas. You can navigate them as well if you feel like it will maximize your options. There's just so many things. For me, I feel like Australia has a way of you being able to come in. You just need to find what you can use. And as I said, it is very important for you to be very mindful of what you're being served on your table, and you use that to enter into all these spaces. And if you feel like there's something missing, there's always an answer in here as to what do you need to do in order for you to get to a space where you need to get, okay? So right now then we're going to be looking at the skilled occupation list. So the skilled occupation list, I hope you can clearly see it now. I think it's very good using this computer because on my phone screen, it was very little. When I was watching the video, I was like, yeah, nah, you shouldn't have used your phone. But anyway, it was just in me practicing. So what I like about this skilled occupation list, it kind of details to you what do you need. Like this is basically telling that when you've done your skills assessment, these are the visas that you might qualify for. So it's very good then to be very mindful of them because then it kind of like filters out the other visas that you don't need. Like for example, the one that we came with here to Australia is this one. The TSS, the Temporary Skill Shortage Visa. We'll talk, what is it? Temporary Skill Shortage Visa. Hey, English! The TSS, this is the one that we used coming here, but we had simultaneously also applied for a permanent residency at the same time, which kind of saved us a lot of money. So now we're permanent residents. We only use this visa for like about 6 months, but I'll go into it to just clue you up on how you can do that and maximize all your options. And then you've got your skilled independent visas. They're point tested. We will talk about them, okay? But the nice thing, as I've explained to you, the skilled occupation list, they've got all these visas here. So this is basically telling you that if you do pass and get a positive outcome for your skills assessment, then it increases your chances of then getting one of these visas, okay? And another thing that you should be very mindful of, getting a positive outcome for your skills assessment does not automatically mean that you're going to be then getting a visa to come to Australia. You still have to meet the requirements for the actual visa. I would not advise you to use this. The reason why is because obviously it's like a computer. It's a computer system. So it's going to kind of think for you. So for me, this is what I will say to you. Don't search for your occupation. Rather, go into everything and find what you can then link your skills and your occupation into whatever that they've got here. Because I know there are some jobs where you kind of like very general, or let's say for example, because I've got people asking me, okay, Promise, what if I studied social work but I'm actually doing HR? And I'm like, oh yeah, imagine if that's the situation and you actually go in here and what are you going to look for when you get in here? So that's why it's very then important for you to then find, okay, where can I attach my skills to, which occupation can I attach my skills to, even if I've got this qualification. So it's kind of like you finding the middle ground to say, I've got this education, but I've got this work experience. So how can I work around it? So if your situation is like that, then this will not be helpful for you. It's not going to help you at all, because then it's going to then take you just to only HR, but you've got social work qualifications. So how are you going to work? So how are you going to navigate around that? And then you've got the section here, which is then the assessing authority. So then, as I told you, the vet assess. Yes, for accountants, you see this IPA, CPAA, CAANZ. So you've got then your engineers, and this is where you would be doing your skills, your assessment, as I've explained to you guys. And as I told you, like the list goes on and on and on and on. Teachers, let's say for example, teachers, as I told you, they want art teachers, dance teachers, drama teachers, early childhood and primary school teachers. Oh my God, they are so high in demand. And as I told you, AITSL. Oh my God. So yes, anyway, when you click onto it, it gives you a link here that you can then follow to then go into that skill assessing authority. So this is what you're going to be then looking at. So it's got this section here where it has migrate to Australia. So what I'd advise you guys to do, find out more. You read. Oh my God, they've got so many things. Early childhood, primary school teacher. Oh, this is so exciting. Access applicant portal. So you create all these accounts, okay? You create the accounts that you need to create. So this is this is for the teachers. This is so exciting. Oh my God, you guys. So yeah, for the person that asked me about early childhood teachers, this is what you can look for. Social work. Obviously, it's gonna just show you one. For us, our code, we are high in demand. And then let's see. So when you click on that one, it takes you into this one. Oh, so it didn't allow me on my phone the other day. Oh wow. So okay, when you use a computer, it allows you. So yeah, you can actually go into it. So as I explained to you, the Home Affairs website is going to show you and direct you where you need to go. But as I explained to you, sometimes you're going to need to be very specific. If you do open another tab for you to then access your skill assessing authority, you don't need to go through the Home Affairs website for you to actually get that. You can just go directly. Like, let's say, for example, you were reading, and then you had to work on something and then come back later, and then, well, the website is gone. You just go straight, because now you know it is AASW. So as I've explained to you guys, you're going to have to read and navigate. All these. As I told you, this website is so, it's got so many things in there. But the nice thing, what you can obviously do is to utilize their search site. So you go to the search site here, and then maybe just type in migration, and then you search it, and then it's gonna take you here. So it's gonna have like a couple of articles and all of that. So you're just gonna need to look for assessment of international qualifications for migration and employment purposes. So you click onto that one, and then it's gonna have a whole lot of information, and they're gonna tell you the criteria for the assessment. You see? All these things you need to go into, guys, and you need to read them. So here it's going to tell you you're going to need 980 hours of field education. So you need to find a way in which you can prove this. High level English language skills. So you're going to have to sometimes do an English test, or just find a way in which you can prove. So this is what obviously we're going to be discussing next week. So yeah, the qualifications that you've got, if you need to translate any of your documents. So they do explain here, applications must be submitted by hard copy. See the code that I was telling you about? They always talk about the code. The skilled occupation category code, which is this one. This is what that's why I said you have to be very mindful for it, because sometimes it gets referenced in these things. So you have to just read. And that's why I said to you guys, spend time reading so that you can have questions. And then when we start the WhatsApp group, we can then discuss all these things and try to navigate them, okay? So we're going to go back. Okay, let's do this. Veterinary. Yep. So veterinarian, which is my beloved husband. So let me close this one here. So I've closed that one. So for people in the veterinary field, I always find it very difficult saying this word veterinary. So yeah, for veterinarians, they're very high in demand. These are all the visas that you can qualify for, and this is the assessing authority. And the great thing is that for veterinary nurses, they're not really high in demand, but they're still wanted, which is a great thing. And these are all the visas that they can qualify for. But what you need to notice is that for the doctors and for the nurses, they've got two different assessing authorities. So with them, they're being assessed by Vet Assess. And as I explained to you, Vet Assess kind of they assess a lot of occupations, and as you can see, it's not just like in one field to say that this is for only vets. So they also kind of like take from a certain kind of like skill set. So yeah, so I had obviously a conversation with my husband about how to navigate registering as a vet. So what he had explained to me is that fine, you can go into the assessing authority, click on there. This is where you start as a vet, okay? This is where you would have to start. You need to register with them. And after you have registered with them, so what you do here is you need to register, obviously, for the skills assessment, right? So there are two sections for you being a vet, a registered vet in Australia. Number one, you have to be registered with this council. After you're registered with this council, then your skills are going to be assessed by them. But you need to kind of like pick one state. For example, either Queensland, New South Wales, South Australia, yada, yada, yada. You would then have to read, guys. Read. You read. They will always tell you what they need. All the time. They will always tell you what they need. Okay? Being a vet, you have to send through 2 sets of documents, right? They can be the same documents for both processes, but you cannot go into step number 2 if you have not done step number 1. So step number 1 is to obviously register with the board. So you'll be sending through your documents how they have told you to. And then after you are registered with the board, right, it takes about 2 to 3 months to get a response. It really depends on their workload. And then step number 2 is for you to then be granted permission to then get your skills assessed. So basically with them, they don't do the skills assessment initially. They first need to check that everything is okay first and you're eligible for a skills assessment. Then only after you've done then the skills assessment, you're all good to go. So with my husband, he spoke to me about 2. In Queensland, you've got the Veterinary Surgeon Board of Queensland. So let's go into that. VSB. So yeah, you would then have to then contact them to find out how you can, because I know that my husband is registered with them, so he can then practice as a vet in Queensland. And then they've also got one for New South Wales, obviously because we've only been in New South Wales and Queensland. So this is what you would need. Like you see, they've got like different ones. You've got like for Victoria, you've got for New South Wales. So obviously we're going to be going into this one, and we'll see which one it gives us. So you've got this one for New South Wales, and also be very mindful like of how the website is. So if it says NSW, just know that they're focusing on New South Wales. If it says QLD, it means that they're focusing on Queensland. Sometimes you get options to be registered on 3, so they partner. I think it's 3. I think it's like Victoria, New South Wales, and Queensland. So sometimes what they mean is that if you are registered in Queensland, then you can practice in New South Wales. If you are registered, so just pick one. Just pick one, and then you'll just change them around when you then get jobs, however you get jobs. For nurses, I think they go through the same process where they need to be first registered with a particular board before the skills assessment can actually happen. Let's look at AMNEC. There we go. I know you would have to also, I think it's kind of like the same process with my husband, where you would have to first register. You have to go through a number of processes way before your skills can actually be assessed. So it might be long, it might be daunting. It might be long, it might be daunting, but you need to make sure that you do what you need to do to get the things to be done. Okay? So in their website, they've got this section here, which is then the skilled migration services. So you click on get assessed, and then you look here, you read. Guys, I'm not going to read with you this thing right now. When we go into the WhatsApp group, I think then we can be able to kind of navigate all these things and unpack it. But yeah, they've got a whole bunch of things that they look at. So you just need to go into all these things. You go into it, you read, be very mindful of the contacts, where to call, who to talk to, ask them questions, annoy them, bug them. They won't do nothing to you. You're in a different country, so they won't do nothing to you, okay? Just don't harass them and abuse them. They'll block you. But call them, ask them, I've got a question. This is what I want to do. This is my situation. Can y'all help me? What do I need to do? And as I've explained to you, Australia, everything is legit online. So you go into all these things, and you know what you're gonna do? You're gonna read. So you just need to read. So that's for nurses. And then obviously my friend who is a dentist. So let's see what we've got for dentists. And then you go into their website. This is how it looks. So as explained to you guys, you have to obviously go into everything. Once you're clued up with everything, if you want to really practice as a dentist or somebody in the medical field, you need to be really prepared for a lot of things. So you need to click on, you see this one that says I would like to practice as a dentist. You click on that one. There's a whole lot of information that goes in there. Just read, get yourself clued up with everything. And then you go down. What you can see is that there are certain things that you need to be mindful for when you want to migrate to Australia. Sometimes you might need to write an initial assessment, write an exam, and do a practical examination way before you can actually practice. So sometimes you might be required to do a whole lot of things that you did not even think that you would be able to do. And I think the WhatsApp group would help us to unpack these situations, because I didn't have to do any of these things. But as you can see, some people might have to. I know sometimes with nurses, they might have to do that, and people who are medical doctors, but it really depends on your profession. So you have to read everything, guys. Be clued up, read, just so you are prepared and you know what to expect. Okay, so let's move right along to engineering as an occupation. As you can clearly see, they've got a lot. What's tricky about the Australian government when coming to engineers, a lot of their occupation in engineer, like these specific, like your civil engineering and all of that, they go out and come back all the time. I've got a friend that's a civil engineer, so I'm hoping that she one day comes. I would hope she does, even if it's just for a year. I always say that to her. So yeah, we've got then electrical engineers. This year they can be in the list, the following year they can be out, but lucky enough this year they're high in demand. So let's just click into the assessing authority and see what they've got. As I've explained to you guys, they always have a lot of information, so focus on one thing. For now, we'll go into the migration hyperlink. Look at this, guys. They've got literally everything that you need to understand about a skills assessment. But not only that, I really enjoyed spending time in this website because they had a lot of resources. Like, for example, they've got things also for the migration agent, because they know that sometimes they might need to help them out with their job. And then they've also got information like how you could like move to Australia, how to settle, getting used to your life here. They've got some place where you can find out other people's questions, just so you see where you can get redirected and the answers that you might need for this process. So spend time here, guys. Read. One thing that I was so impressed about this website, it is so easy to navigate, literally so easy. Look here, they've got a tab about their fees. It's very easy to find. So they kind of explain to you that if you're going to be doing this assessment, this is how much it's going to be. As I told you guys, everything in Australia is legit online, so you don't even need to pay anyone to give you this information. You just need to go in there, be sure about your story, pray about it, get some guidance, y'all, and then you go into it. Okay, so this is how much you might expect to pay. We're not gonna go into it right now, but yeah, at least now you know. So that was that. I hope this was really helpful to you. If you've got any questions, guys, as I mentioned, comment down below. Reach me on my social media. Just pass on this information to the next person, because they might be also in that situation where they are stuck and they just need someone to kind of shed light to say, hey, Wena, do you know in Australia they are relocating such people? And you're like, yeah, I didn't know. Plug people in. Plug people. This is how we advance as human species, as a human race, as human beings, is by always sharing information and, whatever knowledge that we acquire, we spread it out and give it to the next person. So take care of yourself, guys, and I hope to see you again next week. Don't forget to subscribe, to like, to share, and a whole lot of things are still coming with this channel. So see you next week. Bye.